I need about 20 more years to accomplish what my vision for the university is.
20 years?
I need at least another 20 years, so that's how I'm praying. In the Bible, there's a story of a guy named Hezekiah who was dying, and he asked God for 15 additional years, and he got it. Well, I'm praying the same prayer with an option to renew.
And do you think you'll get it?
I don't know.
Christian Amanpour talking to the Reverend Jerry Falwell several months ago, hoping for more years on his life. Reverend Falwell, of course, died today after a life of faith and controversy. We've heard many voices in the last hour and a half discussing Falwell's life and his legacy. Here on 360, we believe in giving all sides a chance to air their views. You, the viewer, can come to your own conclusions. In a moment, we'll hear from Franklin Graham, the son of Billy Graham, who has fond memories of Jerry Falwell as a friend and a pastor. First, a very different point of view, though, a representation of another side of viewpoint toward Jerry Falwell from author and outspoken atheist Christopher Hitchens. He's the author of God is Not Great, How Religion Poisons Everything. I spoke to him earlier in the program. Christopher, I'm not sure if you believe in heaven, but if you do you think Jerry Falwell is in it?
No, and I think it's a pity there isn't a hell for him to go to.
What is it about him that brings up such vitriol?
The empty life of this ugly little charlatan proves only one thing, that you can get away with the most extraordinary offenses to morality and to truth in this country if you'll just get yourself called reverend. Who would, even at your network, have invited on such a little toad to tell us that the attacks of September the 11th were the result of our sinfulness and were God's punishment if they hadn't got some kind of clerical qualification? People like that should be out in the street shouting and hollering with a cardboard sign and selling pencils from a cup. The whole consideration of this horrible little person is offensive to very, very many of us who have some regard for truth and for morality and who think that ethics do not require that lies be told to children by evil old men. That we're not told that people who believe like Falwell will be snatched up into heaven, where I'm glad to see he skipped the rapture, just found on the floor of his office, while the rest of us go to hell. How dare they talk to children like this? How dare they raise money from credulous people on their huckster-like Elmer Gantry radio stations and fly around in private jets as he did, giggling and sniggering all the time at what he was getting away with. Do you get an idea now of what I mean to say?
Yeah, no, I think you're making yourself very clear. I mean,
how dare he say, for example, that the Antichrist is already present amongst us and is an adult male Jew, while all the time fawning on the worst elements in Israel, with his other hand pumping anti-Semitic innuendos into American politics, along with his friends Robertson and Graham.
And yet there are...
encouraging the most extreme theocratic fanatics and maniacs on the West Bank and in Gaza not to give an inch of what he thought of as Holy Land to the people who already live there, undercutting and ruining every Democrat and secularist in the Jewish state in the name of God. He's done us an enormous, enormous disservice by this sort of demagogy.
What do you think it says about America and politics in America that he was so successful in mobilizing huge swaths of the country to come out and vote?
I'm not certain at all that he did deserve this reputation.
You don't think he does?
Well, I'm not certain that he was a mobilizer. We certainly hoped to be one. Well, the fact is that the country suffers to a considerable extent from paying too much by way of compliment to anyone who can describe themselves as a person of faith. Jimmy Swaggart, Ted Haggard, Chaucerian frauds, people who are simply pickpockets, and frauds who prey on the gullible.
Do you believe he believed what he spoke?
And the unwary? Of course not. He woke up every morning, as I say, pinching his chubby little flanks and thinking, I've got away with it again.
You think it was a complete fraud, really?
Yes.
You don't believe that? I mean, in his reading of the Bible, you don't think he was sincere in his? I mean, whether you agree or not with his reading the Bible, you don't think he was sincere in what he spoke?
No, I think he was a conscious charlatan and bully and fraud. I think if he read the Bible at all, and I would doubt that he could actually read any long book at all, that he did so only in the most hucksterish, as we say, Bible-pounding way. I'm going to repeat what I said before about the Israeli question. It's very important. Jerry Falwell kept saying to his own crowd, yeah, you've got to like the Jews because they can make more money in 10 minutes than you can make in a lifetime. He was always full, as his friends Robertson and Graham are and were, of anti-Semitic innuendo. Yet, in the most base and hypocritical way, he encouraged the worst elements among Jewry. He got Menachem Begin to give him the Jabotinsky Medal, celebrating an alliance between Christian fundamentalism and Jewish fanaticism that has ruined the chances for peace in the Middle East. Lots of people are going to die and are already leading miserable lives because of the nonsense preached by this man.
The book is God is Not Great. Christopher Hitchens, appreciate you being on the program.
Thanks for having me.
Christopher Hitchens, his comments have provoked a great deal of email, positive and negative, we should say. We'll read some of your comments ahead. On the radar tonight, your reaction to Jerry Falwell's passing and our coverage of it. Some of you taking issue with our interview with outspoken atheist Christopher Hitchens. Lindsay in Indianapolis writes us, I hope you'll apologize to America for allowing someone on your show that would call this man a toad, as Mr. Hitchens said, or Hitcherson as she's called him. What would people think if I came on national television calling Ellen DeGeneres a lesbian toad? Lindsay, I'm not sure what Ellen DeGeneres has to do with it, but we believe in presenting multiple points of view on 360. You seem to assume that I agree with all the guests that I have on. I don't, but I don't think that really matters. What I think doesn't really matter. We invite people on if they have legitimate points of view. Falwell was certainly a divisive figure, and we thought it important to hear why. Sue, on the other hand, in San Jose, says, thank God AC360 included Mr. Christopher Hitchens on the show tonight. Mr. Hitchens' comments about Falwell were stunning and remarkable and refreshing. Linda in Boulder, Colorado writes, may he rest in peace and people can refrain from disparaging him now that he's passed. His faith was great, even if his social views were misguided. On the other hand, Chaz in Virginia Beach says, I've met Dr. Falwell. He was decent, passionate, and engaging. He had the strongest belief in his convictions of anyone I've seen, and I liked him very much. As always, to weigh in, just go to CNN.com/360blog and follow the links.